Charles Malamuth. Charles Malamuth, November 9, 1899, July 14, 1965, was an American journalist, writer, and translator known as an expert in Slavic languages, Russian expert, and anti-communist. He is best known over the years as translator is Stalin, an appraisal of the man and his influence by Leon Trotsky 1941, for which Soviet communists attacked him as a Trotskyite in the 1940s, and Trotskyites attacked him as an anti-communist in the 2010. Background: Charles Leo Malamuth or Goodman was born on November 9, 1899, in Lodz, Poland, then part of the Russian Empire. His father was Leo Goodman and mother Sipa, also Celia Broder. Career: linguist. In the 1920s, Malamuth was a professor in the Slavonic department at the University of California, Berkeley. Malamuth served as assistant to Eugene Lyons during the latter's stay there as Moscow bureau chief for United Press. On November 22, 1930, he accompanied Lyons to their historic interview with Joseph Stalin. Humanitarian. In 1947, he was director of European Public Relations in Paris for the American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee. Around 1950, he left Paris to join Radio Free Europe in Frankfurt, Voice of America, and Radio Liberty. In 1953, the Communist Party of France attacked him in its newspaper FR Soir by calling him infidèle de Trotsky, a Trotsky loyalist, and citing the support from Lyons and him for Viktor Kravchenko during the latter's trial in France for his book I Chose Freedom 1949, which exposed the Gulag system in the USSR. Soir accused Malamuth of translating the first 500 pages of Kravchenko's famous book. Further, the newspaper accused Malamuth of close association with the Trotskyite Max Eastman and of Isaac Don Levine. Further, his visitors in Paris included ex-CP members J. Lovestone and Benjamin Gitlow. Further, he was known to have visited the U.S. Embassy in Paris weekly, i.e., implying that he was an American spy. Lastly, he had worked for the American Joint Distribution Committee Jewish Welfare Agency, which the CP-USSR had accused of engineering the doctor's plot. Life. On December 20, 1925, in Sacramento, California, Malamuth married Joan London, daughter of American novelist and socialist Jack London. It was her second marriage. They divorced in 1930, moved to Moscow, remarried, separated in 1934, and divorced finally in 1935. By 1950, he had married again to Renée Malamuth. He corresponded with Max Eastman, Eugene Lyons, Adolphe Mendieu, and Lev Trotsky, as well as Ilya Ehrenberg, Anatoly Lunacharsky, Alexei Tolstoy, and Evgeny Zamyatin. Other friends and acquaintances included Isaac Don Levine. He died in Los Angeles on July 14, 1965. Legacy: Trotsky's Stalin 2016. While Stalinist communist parties called Malamuth a Trotskyist, Trotskyists considered him an anti-communist and still do to this day. Case in point, in 2016, Well-Read Books published a new translation of Trotsky's biography Stalin by Alan Woods. For this new translation, Woods consulted not only Harvard University Library Archives, which holds Trotsky's papers for the book, but also French and Russian translations. It contains 100,000 words more than the 1940 translation. Also, the new translated presents Malamuth's political distortions removed. Robert Sewell of In Defense of Marxism has criticized Malamuth strongly. He has written, "Whatever Malamuth's talents, this was a political task for which he was completely unsuited." Trotsky was unhappy with Malamuth because he had shown his unfinished translations. For this indiscretion, Trotsky was soon blaming him further. "He does not know Russian, he does not know English, and he is tremendously pretentious." In video, he explained about Malamuth, "He wasn't qualified enough to carry out this particular task." Therefore, he introduced into this later edited version a lot of material that he had decided to supplement to Trotsky's work. These supplements, these editions clearly went against the general thrust of Trotsky's political thought. Thought, 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 thought. Natalia Trotsky wanted to take out the material that had been put in by Malamuth. Malamuth had given the excuse that a lot of it was repetition. And the main thing also, he said, that the transcripts had been damaged in the assassination attack in 1940, and some of the material was in disrepair. There wasn't any damage whatsoever, and files deliberately left out of the book. A vast number of words had been left out, an extra 100,000 words. Malamuth's text of about 10,000 were taken out. Ultimately, Sewell concedes a simpler explanation. Following Trotsky's death, translations. Squaring the Circle by Valentine Kataev, 1928, 1935. The Volga Falls to the Caspian Sea by Boris Pilniak, New York. Farrar and Reinhardt, 1931, 1. A Little Golden Calf by Evgeny Petrov, New York. Farrar and Reinhardt, 1932, Preview. Chocolate, a novel by Alexander Tarasov Rodionov, translated from the Russian by Charles Malamuth, New York, Doubleday, Doran and Company, Inc., 1932. Forward, O Time by Valentine Kataev, New York, Holt, Reinhardt and Winston, 1933. Forward, O Time by Valentine Kataev, New York, Farrar and Reinhardt, 1934. Fear by Alexander Afinogenov, 1934. Inga by Anatol Glebov, 1934. Little Golden America by Evgeny Petrov, 1936. Lonely White Sail or Pieces Where the Tempests Blow by Valentine Kataev, New York, Farrar and Reinhardt, 1936. Stalin, An Appraisal of the Man and His Influence by Leon Trotsky, 1941.